Good afternoon. I will be talking in Russian. So what I'd like to talk about with you, so all the issues related to the security or the problems we have with the security of BGP. But first of all, let's try to go back to those times when BGP protocol was created, and let's think about the people who coined this concept. BGP protocol has almost the same number of years as I have, so I did not participate in that process and the first IT meetings dedicated to this topic. But if you ask me how I imagine it all went, how it was created, I would like to say that this is the picture I can imagine in my mind about that. So what was laid as the foundation of the protocol seems surprising right now, because we had a simple hierarchy, no strict rules, no rules that closed and limited access to become a new operator. So the network and the communication was built on mutual respect, on the confidence that your neighbor knows what he does and he will make no mistakes. And that was very good concept when we had a few dozens of operators, but then when thousands of operators emerged on the market, the system of collective trust turned into the system of collective responsibility for the mistakes that were made. And over these 20 or almost 30 years now, we have not introduced any BGP exams. Nobody gets into doing BGP work when drunk. And if we talk generally about BGP protocol and the mistakes related to that, so the bugs and the mistakes that are made in some networks, they affect the livability of all the systems. If we talk about the main bugs, there are three main types, and here we have hijacks, root leaks, and boggins. Let's start with hijacks. I'm not quite confident that I should clarify some things about this example. In Pakistan in 2008, they decided to block YouTube, and they announced this prefix and these actions it would go in to undertake, and a part of the traffic had a leakage in Pakistan, and it remained right there, and it created a problem, a real problem. But I would like to say that it's quite a typical mistake, and this example shows us and demonstrates that it's not something supernatural. It's quite a common thing. That is an example of when the static root was coined as a BGP protocol, and normally it is just a statistical routing, and they do not lead to the problems with an exit, and it can lead to a serious crisis for the networks, but we have the ready-made tools and mechanism. We have RTPI and different types of curators, but there are a number of problems there. And here, the curate is one of the best registrators that we have.
All the same, you has just to check what is coming not from to you, not from inside to the region, and to be sure that the root object is rightly signed. You can't do this. It's a part of a problem. The second part of a problem, it's not absolutely sufficient to safeguard yourself from the hazardous activity. Root object, the RPKI, we have they are flexibly inbuilt in the protocol GP. If tomorrow you want to do hijack of a certain operator and overcome the filters, it's enough for you to add the number of this supplier to your offset, and when you start to announce, just write his number. BGP gives you this opportunity, gives you flexibility. It doesn't. Other reasons for hijacking. Here we come to political topic, to the blocking of content as a result of a query of the regulator. These blockings are getting more and more. These people who thought how to build up the internet that will connect everybody, they didn't think about that, and they didn't plan to do this. We are engineers, we are not political leaders. Let's consider the typical mechanisms of the filtration. There is a null root, ACL, and there are those who do hijacked. And why hijacks here? Everything is present. But just imagine the situation. A small operator comes to his supplier. It says, I want so that content will open up. But a person with iPhone comes up and it won't open up. The operator may be confused, but he is given money and he agrees. What he does, the operator added root and to lower level supplier said this as ASX. The client received this. The traffic automatically goes up to the top level provider. But what if this operator, or who is a customer, did leak of this route in other directions? For example, /32. First of all, imagine it's not a /32, but /24. Again, the question, why /24 here? Because we are filtering the certain IP address. This question I asked to one operator in Russia. Why /24 with my realm? And the answer was this low-level operator, regardless of the fact that he is ready to pay money for hijack of the service, he has so old hardware and he can't receive /32. That's why they decided to do /24. It's a half step with the mass situation with Pakistan and YouTube. But here we have the fix. If we come to the world when hijack becomes a server, let's do this correctly without creating global problems. It suffices to add new expert community. On the one hand, a client will get the service he pays for. On the other hand, this kind of configuration of the network won't become a global abnormality. This hijack will be very difficult to catch. It's a kind of a way to earn money. Let's go to the following. Hijacking may be as attacks on the servers. We are living in the world where hijack becomes a server, but the lion's share is still leaks of the static routes and mistakes. The second type of abnormality is leaks, root leaks. It's a very simple thing. It's announcements that are spread in the wrong direction. For example, you receive the information from one supplier to another supplier and announce this to another supplier. Unfortunately, I have a bad news for you. First of all, in 90% of cases, this will increase the delays. Leaks itself, they are registered and they were used as amendment middle. Also, if you think that you need a quality server, accessibility, availability, you want that your global accessibility will depend on the networks that can't tune their own configurations correctly. Let's look statistics. the unique prefixes that were in root leaks in April according to the days. Leaks, 1,000 prefixes every day. Day by day, the prefixes differ. Different networks, they make different mistakes, and different prefixes, they are created on different servers. But in fact, the people who suffered a great deal of, for example, you receive this leaked root. Your client made a mistake and you received a root from him, and you place this in a table and you use this. What kind of results there may be? You redirect the traffic to the net that is unmanageable or that is managed wrongly. You do your service and service of your clients unaccessible. The number of networks that can suffer much larger. All the networks in the world, day to day, they receive leaks. It's a kind of abnormal normality of the normal abnormality of the current internet. What to do? But first of all, let's try to find who is guilty. Let's study the motives, why leaks happen. As I've said, leaks may happen as a detrimental activity, but in the majority of cases, this is mistakes. The reaction of people who are in this abnormality, they don't understand what's happening. It's a typical situation when the networks leaks the root, it have the increase in uplinks, and it tries to do something wrongly rather than to deal with a filter. The number of networks that make mistakes, there are a great deal of them, much more than 1,000. If we expand the window of study, there may be 2,000-3,000 autonomous systems, a considerable percentage of all the carriers participants. If we dig up more, people, they don't adjust the BGP protocol. The reason is we don't have the button to remove the leaks. And right tuning, it's community tuning and roadmap tuning. All this optional. Let's look at the last point, bogans. There are two types of bogan routes. The first one, prefixes. Prefixes here, there are specific prefixes that are reserved for special needs, and their appearance in GP table they shouldn't have been there. The second type of bogans, ASNs, that we have the private numbers of systems or reserved numbers of systems. For a long time, nobody has noticed this. Everything has been perfect. But last year, a number of large operators, they announced a crusade against this. They publicly announced that they would filter all the routes where the rules are broken. Privates shouldn't be in the way. But they do a correct thing. They try to do internet clear. On the other hand, more clean. On the other hand, it speaks about the fact that if your supplier made a mistake randomly, your networks may become unaccessible. What's happening? Yesterday, we found more than 12,000 prefixes that are affected. I'd like to point out that not all these prefixes are completely inaccessible. Here we should understand that some operators, they have a reverse policy. They remove from the private autonomous system, accessibility is preserved. But all the same, it may lead to the unpredictable consequences. If an operator starts announcing policy, it may result in the fact that he will become unaccessible. You may suggest this to dig in and to find out what to do, it will take a great deal of time. And it's misunderstanding between those who tune in a GP protocol. BGP abnormalities, BGP incidents, they have the mass character. Everybody can suffer from this. Mistakes of somebody may influence another persons as well. What we can do, you should start from yourself, from your network. You adjust your networks according to the processes, configurations, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, it's not sufficient. You need to do this or that way of monitoring of BGP routes for your network. BGP monitoring system can automate or can help you to react rapidly, but it won't help you if something happens with your prefix in the other part of the world. It can allow you to react rapidly. It's an unpleasant situation. We live in a very dangerous situation. On the other hand, if you look at the problem a different angle, we can make a conclusion that the majority of mistakes, the majority of problems of BGP, they are mistakes. It's not hazardous or detrimental mistakes. They are related to misunderstanding, and we can fight against this. But we can do this only in the source. The protocol was created in IT, within the IT project. The similar principles, they are still valid. IETF is an organization that consists of the engineers who has the task to improve the technical interaction in the Internet. I said the organization, but IETF as organization doesn't exist. It's a kind of a community that tries to do the world better. Here, a curator tries to participate in the process as well. On our behalf, we are trying in EITF to promote two initiatives. The first relates to the leak prevention and detection, and the other area of our work, ASN Union. This process should be very, very light and painless. I can't say that it's a very simple process. Money is spent, resources are applied. Not all the companies during the crisis can do this and ready to do this.
And you have a unique opportunity to try to resolve your own problems very quickly, very simply, and without paying any money. So currently, we have a call, well, adoption call as we call it, for receiving our new suggestions and proposals to form a task force. So we put forward a standard to have this the absence of leakages button, and that will prevent the leaks from happening. So we are automatically detecting them. In order to take part in it, what do you have to do? Well, you have to read the draft itself, and you have to read the conversation which is related to it, and then you should express your opinion. I'm not calling you for voting for it, but I'm just saying that you should express your opinion whether you like it or not, and also give your arguments for that. So respectively, what do we have as a result? Talking about the summary. Going back to the hijack matters, so if we have some strange services as a result of the quasi-interaction, let's try to do them as in such a way that they do not make a mistake. So you have to monitor BGP routes and your services, and if you are speaking about the accessibility of it, that is the tactics that you should adopt. And as for the strategy, you should be collaborating with IETF. And thank you very much for your attention. Dear colleagues, we have some time for Q&A session. Dmitry Brukov. Thank you, Alexander, for the presentation, because it complements the picture that Jeff has told us about. So we have the major actors and players that do not face such problems, and the rest of the world. So you add to this picture, and we see that hijacks and the absence of the combat against leaks, because for large companies that is not a major problem. But as for BGP, you mentioned different aspects. Yes, because there are some separate specific topics. So do we face the following situation? So do you have the statistic information about the evolution of this process? Can we detect and can we track the dynamics? Because we have major players that do not face these problems, about 95% of their humanity. And what do you think about the real consequences that we can have? What is happening with DNS that has been happening for quite a while right now? Well, I would like to respond to you and expressing my opinion in correlation with what Jeff mentioned. Yes, we do not have a large number of providers, and the number will not be increasing in future, but we have the services that will not be integrated into a cloud, like the payment services. It's not a critical problem for them, and we have the access talks, and they will be there. They will not disappear, and we will see how this group will be enlarged in future. Yes, of course, IP transit market will be changing in future, but BGP problem, BGP being the foundation for the interaction between different services, will still remain there. And the further we go, and the better we try to resolve it, the better position we will have in the future. Of course, many things are happening even inside the operator's network. So how can this system be managed in an efficient way? What can be done for this purpose? Because we've seen some recent figures about the situation. Well, based on our figures, the number of incidents is not decreasing, it is increasing, the number of operators, and that is a stable situation of the last years. As hijacks, they can have different causes and different reasons. Hijacks, the majority of hijacks as a service is something specific. It's not a massive phenomenon. So it exists. It's not a one-time thing. But the main problem with the hijacks, the main cause, is the leakages, and they happen and they lead to inaccessibility of the services. So I have been providing hijacks as a service. Well, in a sense, as you know, I would not like to comment on that. Thank you. Bogdanov Yuri, thank you very much for your presentation, because you've mentioned some interesting issues about the stability of BGP operation. I'd like to clarify about hijacks. Do you have in your network and system for global monitoring of hijacks and international routings based on the data of different registrars? Yes, the answer is yes. We have a number of websites, and we render this type of services of radar. So you can, we can have a look at it. Yes, certainly. At our website, we have the information and the data for all such systems, but the access towards to this data is limited. So the access is public, but it is still limited. Yes, but I mean the services that show you the hijacks existing in the global network. Yes, I understand. We have the list presented there on our website. As for the internet. So do you announce these types of routes with hijacks? Well, correct me if I'm wrong. The question is the following one. Do you have the database that lists all the hijacks? No, publicly available, I don't think that there is such a database. Pavel, good afternoon. Well, when you talk about BGP protocol, it's not only about the internet. We are using this protocol for signaling all other types of services, for other IT solutions. And the improvements that you offer, they are related specifically to the internet. So are you not afraid of breaking something where problems do not exist? So yes, of course, we will try to ensure the compatibility of these systems. Yegor, I have a simple question. So you've mentioned that major players are not suffering from these problems or not suffering in such a way, but I would like to say that they do suffer from that. And as for this example with the YouTube, it has become closer to the end users. And as for hijack of YouTube, it will be a very local thing. Of course, if we do not take into consideration some specific features. But as for major players, that it does not constitute any problem. Of course, it does constitute a problem. It's a problem for regions, and it is a problem for some players, of course.
Someone who's also been looking at this subject for about the last 15 years, it's certainly true that on any day, around 500 prefixes that aren't in registries are on the routing system, and around about 1,200 autonomous system numbers that aren't in registries are sitting in the routing system. But does it matter? Now, part of this issue is when I hijack your traffic, if it's unencrypted, we all have a problem. If it's encrypted with your certificate and your keys, even if I see the traffic, it's not necessarily going to help me. So the issue about the severity of these issues and what they mean is actually changing as more and more of the world sort of flicks over to using TLS as the universal substrate. And the advantage gained in hijacking traffic, I can see inside it, is massively being negated by this almost complete push to push everything into TLS. So how does TLS alter the severity of the problem you're addressing?
If you're speaking about, for example, problem route leaks or some other leaks, of course, even the big guys are thinking about latency. It is one point. Second, because if they experience increased latency, they're not so happy. Second point is that how do you get these certificates? What if I will go to the certificate authority, hijack, for example, your or become a man in the middle between victim and authority and get another certificate?
If I can be a trusted certificate authority, then hand me all your money and the game's over. The certificate authority business is like that. And certainly this kind of attack relies on being able to knock off a certificate authority to hand out a fake certificate. Now, the certificate authorities all say, we're incorruptible. Now, that's not quite true, but it is difficult.
Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's difficult, but using BGP, you are able to do it. BGP is enough flexible to give you an opportunity to corrupt authorities, certificate authorities.
Well, that's probably a game for another day. Thank you.
Thanks.
Богданов Юрий, еще один вопрос.
Bogdanov Yuri, another question. Have you faced hijack as a method of some attack on your clients? And what efficient tools can be used to protect and to counteract hijacks? It's a good question. In my practice, I had a situation when I felt that they were trying to find out whether we detect a problem or not. But unfortunately, even if the most ideal monitoring system that detects some problems in BGP protocol does not give you solutions to resolve this situation. Of course, we have to monitor all the situation, but if someone hijacks your space with denial service purpose, the only tool you can use is to write to the company that has hijacked your traffic, and then they will send it to the upstream organization with a description of this situation with the mistakes occurring. There is no other way, but I'd like to note that based on my practice, the reaction of up-level organization is quite quick to such situation. For example, they react in about 1 hour. From Australia. That's good news and a lot of bad news. Yes, we have the same statistics. These mistakes are resolved by announcing prefixes in a very timely manner. But if someone does this thing in some African country, there is no legal way to convince a company to announce this type of prefix. Yes, you are right, because at one of the latest meetings, we discussed that with the colleagues, and we discussed whether someone can be revoked of his or her license if something happened, and no such tool is adopted nowadays. Good afternoon. My name is Pavel Kolesnikov. I'm representing Huawei Company. Thank you very much for this good and interesting presentation. Can you remind us when YouTube was hijacked in 2008? So now, what year do we have now? Yes, I think 2017. Yes. And these problems have existed for a long period of time. And over the years, many articles have been written how to improve BGP. And what do you think? Why nothing has been done? Almost nothing. Well, there are two aspects here. The situation with this Pakistan example with YouTube, hijack de facto was kind of accidental, and a lot has been done for that. And we have now some mechanisms and tools that are working quite efficiently. But if we speak about something which has been done on purpose, almost nothing has been done because this opportunity to do this, to hijack traffic, has existed before, and now it's still it is still existing, and it was used on purpose. Now we are living in the time when this space has some limit and the time is limited, and it's quite a typical situation of the past years. They hijack several blocks that have not been used by large operators, and then they tend to use this block as a sub-network, and then they repeat the situation again. So that is the response to your answer. What is happening right now? Yes, the problem is still here. Hijack as the leak of static route, it still exists in some regions and some parts of the world. Of course, it would be good to have ripe rules adopted everywhere, but the regions of the world are different.
A very brief comment as to asked RIPE, and RIPE answered. I asked colleagues, policy RIPE, and this policy created by Curator Labs. It's a member of a RIPE, the RIPE NCC. You are the RIPE community. It's your task to create this policy as well as you create a draft. Do you believe that it's possible?